To drive your business metrics, you run incentive programs for your sales teams, gig workers, and support staff. But running multiple incentive programs manually is hard, very hard. Incentive payouts get delayed. Your people aren't motivated anymore. And everything is just so slow. Turbocharge your incentive programs with Compass. Build gamified programs with preset templates for different business metrics. Connect your CRM and data management systems to Compass for seamless incentive calculations and payouts. With Compass app, your partners, agents, and staff can get details of your incentive programs, see how they are doing with live updates, and even redeem their points straight to a bank account. Or pick something from our money-saving catalog. You can turbocharge your incentive program to drive metrics for customer tickets, number of deliveries, or sales numbers. Compass doesn't just reward your top performers, but uses game mechanics to improve performance at all levels. Incentive programs are made fun by using popular game and competition styles. At the click of a button, make your incentive programs work smarter, faster, and grow with Compass by Zozo Day.
Hello all, myself Ekta Dubey and along with me Mr. Chandrasekhar Iyer, who would be running the show. On behalf of the team Branalytics, we welcome you all and thank you for being part of our webinar Rebooting Marketing in the Times of COVID-19. In the current pandemic situation, where the buying patterns and the behaviors of consumers have been drastically changed and all the businesses have been severely impacted in the work from home situation, it has been a challenge for the marketers to understand their consumers. Marketers are still struggling to overcome the current situation and the challenges posed by it, which requires adapting to new and innovative marketing strategies and best use of right technologies at the same time. Never before there has been a situation where marketers have been working remotely and providing every possible support to their teams. The new reality of marketer around the globe today is whether working from home or in an office, they have to ensure business continuity and poise professionalism in all their correspondences. To start with our first session, I would like to welcome Mr. Vinit Singh, Group CMO, Embassy Group. With over 13 plus years of experience in advertising and marketing across sectors, Vinit is currently leading branding and marketing practice as Embassy Group. In his role, he is responsible for developing the marketing strategy, online and offline activations, events and communications for the group and its brand, including We Work in India. He would be sharing his insights on evolution of marketing strategies during this pandemic, gearing up for the future. Over to you, Mr. Vinit. You can start your presentation.
Thanks, Ekta. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Hope everyone's doing safe and are healthy during this time. I'd just like to showcase a small presentation. Can you please confirm if you can see this deck?
Yes, you all can see.
Thank you. As Ekta mentioned, these are difficult times. It's time like these that go out and create a lot of doubt in a marketer's mind. However, times of crisis actually go out and help you create something which can stand out for your brand and for your marketing needs, and can push your brand to another level altogether. So I'm here to talk about evolution of marketing since COVID-19. And marketing during this time is going to be similar to what we used to do earlier. There's no reason to panic, but the focus needs to be a lot on the consumer. You need to understand what the consumer is all about, what the consumer is bringing to the table. There has to be a certain shift to digital, which has already started. Digital, a year back, every platform was moving towards that. However, um, the COVID-19 pandemic actually went and created. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can
So
hear you.
the COVID-19 pandemic has actually accelerated users towards the platform. So there's a lot more people on the digital platform, and they're also consuming content across those platforms even more now. And also finding the right balance, right? I mean, you need to find the right marketing mix between web, mobile, offline channels. It's also important to consume money. So finding the right balance is extremely critical during these difficult times. Navigating through the next 6 to 12 months, one of the things is brands need to adapt to the situation, create an impact with the current and potential customers, understand their needs, and go out and introduce offerings that your product can, create so that they can be helped a lot more. Human-centric messages, more reassuring, more authentic, more true in their whole conversation and communication style. The attention span of the online consumer was not more than 8 seconds. However, during the pandemic, it's actually gone ahead, and it's gone up to 15 seconds. A shift, which is great for us marketers, because now we have more time to consume and talk to with our consumers. The COVID-19 outbreak is also pushing consumers to spend more time on social platforms. So you can actually be using across various platforms. You could be using various platforms to go out and create a lot more impact. And this is also the best time for brands to make use of influencer marketing. It's time for them to partner with influencers, partner and move with influencers towards a certain degree, and help your brand move forward. Leveraging AI is something a lot of brands and products are talking about. However, it's important to understand the need for it, and you do something which is required specifically for that need. Automation supports immediacy, so a lot to engage with people at the right moment, at the right time. That is something you can leverage AI for. AI derived human insights can actually go out and help you connect with the user on a faster pace as well. It obviously is a high level of accuracy. There's almost close to 62% customers, when a survey was run, declare that they are open to companies that use AI, which can significantly improve processes. And also reaching your audience correctly. I mean, AI gives you data research and strength that can help you connect with your right audience at the right time, which helps you save some marketing dollars as well. Personalization is a big trend, and that is something that AI helps you do very well. It's always good to engage with your consumer in a personalized way, and it'll give you a long-term outlook. Keeping in mind the pandemic, it's important to have a long-term outlook. 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, when things change, how are things going to move? And that's important. And AI can help you, build that for yourself. Also, we spoke about digital for a bit, but what is the role that digitization is going to play, right? There is going to be more companies being reliant on digital strategies. There'll be more conversations about digital across various platforms. Experiential marketing of the future is likely to emerge, as a mixed reality in terms of channel. There's a lot more experience. There's a lot more digital experiences that are going to be created. Important to research where our consumers are spending time, and then be able to track them and give the right kind of attention to them. And that's what something digitization can do. And also just some few simple tips, like giving your website a social page, a refresh, and innovative approach is something that helps you stand out during these trying times. I just have a small case study before I end. In my role at Embassy, I also have the privilege and honor of leading a great marketing team at WeWork India. And they are extremely, they've been using a lot of innovation, AI, data, and everything that I've talked about to create engagement for the consumer. And I just wanted to take you through a campaign that we just did a couple of months back. And this was for Pride Month. As you know, June is celebrated as Pride Month, where people go out and celebrate the LGBTQIA plus community. And so we wanted to go out and create something unique this time to engage with the consumer. And our thought at this point of time was like, how do we go about doing it? People can't step outside. How do we engage with people? So we went out and literally created a Pride Street of We, and I'll take you through what it was. But in the whole Pride Month, one of the biggest aspects is the Pride Parade, when people come out in all colors, come out in support of the community. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to replicate the Pride Parade online. And what we did was we created a virtual Pride Street and a virtual Pride Parade, which looked something like this. We partnered with Twitter to go put this in place. So every time someone tweeted using a particular hashtag, their tweet landed up coming to this page of Pride Street of We, where they could enjoy a virtual parade. This page is still live. You can actually go check it out. And it's going to be live for the entire year. So anytime anyone's tweeting with Pride Street of We, you will land up on this page, enjoying this beautiful parade. The microsite, like I said, shows a virtual seat, shows your true colors. People use Twitter to go out and engage with the microsite. And it's a great innovation, right? But it's extremely simple. It's very cost effective. Not a lot of money needed to be spent to create this. It was an innovation that got us a lot of kudos from consumers across the country. These are a few content snapshots. If you see, the content was extremely reassuring. It was true, and it was connecting with the audience in a personal way completely. We also partnered with an artist community from the LGBTQIA plus community across India, and we got them to showcase various art on the Pride Street as well. So if you went to the Pride Street, you'd not just participated in the parade, but you could also, look at great paintings and art by the community itself. I did speak about influencer marketing. We actually created a nice little small influencer activity with Pride Street as well. We partnered with Durjoy and Ashna and Bowman Irani, famous influencers. On Instagram, we partnered with a lot of other small and medium Cat C influencers as well, who went and spoke about the Pride Street Trophy and spoke about the Pride Parade completely. This is just a showcase of the number of influencers we used across Cat A, B, and C. Just that was a little bit of a snapshot to tell you how marketing can be done during the times of the pandemic, right? I mean, innovation, digital, and connecting with your audience. I mean, if you're that personal, you're that integrated with your communication, you'll always hit. Always be a hit with your consumer, and that's something that we should know. Just in the end, I'd like to talk about how we can take marketing to the next level during this time. Stay agile, think quick, solve for customers. It's important to understand that customers' needs have changed. This is the same consumer who had different issues about 6 months back, and now they're completely different issues. So it's important to understand those issues and then solve for them if your product allows you to. And then, obviously generational messaging, different generations are experiencing this crisis differently. And it's important for people to communicate with each age group, keeping in mind that difference and keeping in mind the thought process. And this is only relevant if your product deals with different segments. New thinking. The consumer, while sitting at home, has realized that, their mind, they can engage a lot more. They're looking for a lot more innovation. And it's important for brands to be on that page as well. Increase accessibility to yourself and find new ways to engage with the consumer, and not just on platforms that they exist, but find newer ways, partner with new forms of content. Like, for example, gaming is a big form of content that has seen a rise in the last 3 months. Is there a way to partner with that um, piece of content to create a brand story for yourself? Again, relevant only if don't do it because you want to be a trend. Do it because you want to be. It's relevant to you and your brand. And in the end, be authentic and truthful. I think it's important. I've been using the word trying times. These are trying times throughout, and the brands which are the most authentic, most truthful, will get a lot more brand love as compared to people who are just being tactical and being just selling out products. So that's me. And I'm glad that I was here. Um, in the end, I would just like to sum up and say that understand your consumer needs and be present where they are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vinit, so much for sharing your insights. We are open to the Q&A session, and we have an audience. So if anybody has questions, definitely we can ask the question. I have set the guidelines. You can raise your hands. I'll take your name, unmute yourself on your video, introduce yourself, your company, your designation, and you can ask your question to Mr. Vinit. So anyone can ask the question. We are open before we move on to the next speaker. Do we have any questions?
I think we have one question.
Yes, we have a question from Kavita Mukherjee.
Okay.
Kavita, you can introduce yourself on your video and ask your question to Mr. Vinit. Yeah.
Hi, Vinith. Very good morning. Kavita here from Lupin Limited. So I had a question around AI that can be used in the pharma world. How can it be more effective in healthcare?
I'm sorry, I lost your voice in the middle, Kavita. You said, how can AI be relevantly used in healthcare?
Absolutely.
Um, um, it depends. I mean, see, AI actually is extremely relevant in two places with healthcare, right? And obviously in the product segment, that is something that I won't be able to talk about because my expertise don't lie there. However, in the brand and marketing side, I feel it's, AI can help actually help you formulate the right content for the right person at this point of time from a brand and marketing standpoint. I mean, how I would like look at it, if there is a healthcare company, they can actually reach out to the right people who actually need them at this point of time, and help target them at the right place during these times. I honestly feel that AI can have a huge impact on the healthcare side, on the product side of things. You know how AI can be used to enhance the product. AI can be used to understand, what exactly the consumer wants and needs from a treatment perspective as well, and create great definitions on their product. But like I said, I don't belong to that industry, so I won't be able to comment on the product side of things. But on the marketing side of things, I think just being close to the consumer and understanding their need is going to be that can AI can be used extremely effectively in the healthcare format.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kavita. Vinit, we have a next question from Mr. Murtuza Morbiwala. Mr. Murtuza, can you please ask your question to Mr. Vinit?
I think I can see Murtaza's question on the chat. Can you share
Okay, you
which
can answer. Yes,
Can you
yes.
share which digital platform create high impact? Hey Murtaza, it depends. I mean, it's completely like I've been saying, right? I mean, what is relevant to your brand? If for example, for a lot of brands, Instagram is working really well. A lot of people are consuming a lot of content on Instagram. Facebook has actually gone and made a comeback, as you would say, into the whole social stream of things. A lot of people were, you know, phasing out of Facebook. I wouldn't say leaving the platform, but phasing out of Facebook. Facebook was becoming like a blind screen. But Facebook has suddenly made a comeback during the lockdown. People have gone back, started engaging on content there as well. So I mean, Instagram obviously tops it all because of the visual appeal that it gives you. But again, like I said, I mean, this is from a digital platform perspective, you need to figure out where your consumer is spending time. If for example, you are looking at a TG that does not really, connect with social platforms, and they're actually spending time on digital, reading the news or engaging with sports. So then that kind of platform is going to do well for you. So it's completely relevant to where your audience is spending time. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Vinith. Do we have any more questions before we move on to the next session? Okay, no worries. Thank you, Mr. Vinith, for your time and being here as one of the thought leaders. It was great having you, definitely. And I would request you to stay back because we have few more sessions and we might have more questions and you can answer those.
Sure. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, thank you so much. Chandrasekhar, we are waiting for those speakers to come in. Meanwhile, you can just run one video of us and XOXOs.
To drive your business metrics, you run incentive programs for your sales teams, gig workers, and support staff. But running multiple incentive programs manually is hard, very hard. Incentive payouts get delayed. Your people aren't motivated anymore. And everything is just so slow. Turbocharge your incentive programs with Compass. Build gamified programs with preset templates for different business metrics. Connect your CRM and data management systems to Compass for seamless incentive calculations and payouts. With Compass app, your partners, agents, and staff can get details of your incentive programs, see how they are doing with live updates, and even redeem their points straight to a bank account. Or pick something from our money-saving catalog. You can turbocharge your incentive program to drive metrics for customer tickets, number of deliveries, or sales numbers. Compass doesn't just reward your top performers, but uses game mechanics to improve performance at all levels. Incentive programs are made fun by using popular game and competition styles. At the click of a button, make your incentive programs work smarter, faster, and grow with Compass by Zozo Day. To drive your business metrics, you run incentive programs for your sales teams, gig workers, and support staff. But running multiple incentive programs manually is hard, very hard. Incentive payouts get delayed. Your people aren't motivated anymore. And everything is just so slow. Turbocharge your incentive programs with Compass. Build gamified programs with preset templates for different business metrics. Connect your CRM and data management systems to Compass for seamless incentive calculations and payouts. With Compass app, your partners, agents, and staff can get details of your incentive programs, see how they are doing with live updates, and even redeem their points straight to a bank account. Or pick something from our money-saving catalog. You can turbocharge your incentive program to drive metrics for customer tickets, number of deliveries, or sales numbers. Compass doesn't just reward your top performers, but uses game mechanics to improve performance at all levels. Incentive programs are made fun by using popular game and competition styles. At the click of a button, make your incentive programs work smarter, faster, and grow with Compass by Zozo Day. To drive your business metrics, you run incentive programs for your sales teams, gig workers, and support staff. But running multiple incentive programs manually is hard, very hard. Incentive payouts get delayed. Your people aren't motivated anymore. And everything is just so slow. Turbocharge your incentive programs with Compass. Build gamified programs with preset templates for different business metrics. Connect your CRM and data management systems to Compass for seamless incentive calculations and payouts. With Compass app, your partners, agents, and staff can get details of your incentive programs, see how they are doing with live updates, and even redeem their points straight to a bank account. Or pick something from our money-saving catalog. You can turbocharge your incentive program to drive metrics for customer tickets, number of...
Yes, hi. So we are moving on to the next session, and I would like to welcome Mr. Kushal Agrawal. He's a Chief Strategy Officer with XOXO Day. Kushal Agrawal operates as the Chief of International Expansion at XOXO Day. He's an MBA holder from Wellington Institute. He has worked with the African FMCG Bidco oil refineries in sales, distribution, and marketing. He would be sharing his insights how incentives can reduce CAC. Over to you, Mr. Kushal. You can start with your presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Ekta. Thanks for that lovely introduction. Hello, everyone, for hearing to me, and thanks to Brainalytics for organizing this session. Today, I'll be talking about how incentives can actually reduce CAC. And amid pandemic, I'm sure the customer acquisition cost is an important parameter, and that's something which you would like to kind of look into. So I'll be talking about some of the elements around how you can kind of automate stuff and reduce the customer acquisition cost altogether. So what I'll do is I'll quickly share my screen, and here you go. Ekta, please help me if everyone you can see the screen.
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Yes,
perfect. Thank you. So before we kind of talk about the customer acquisition cost and the incentive piece, let's first understand how the sales cycle really is. I'm sure you as the brand managers and the brand leaders, you would be having your business orientation as B2B or B2C, and all of the companies usually have some bit of sales cycle, right? So you have a world of business, and then you target a piece of it, and you kind of then qualify some of the leads using AdWords and a couple of other methods, and then you kind of after the qualification, you actually demonstrate to the handful of the people who are interested, and then you negotiate for the pricing, and then you close, and then it's all about the success of that particular customer, and then get a repeat sale. So this is a typical sales cycle, which you might have encountered. There might be some steps which are here and there, but typically understanding of the sales cycle is very important before we automate the incentives or do some kind of automation in your business. Post which, there are different types of automations happens across the sales cycle. some of the recent automation which we did was towards the lead qualification, where we found that the HR managers or the sales leaders actually switch from one company to other, and we always wanted to kind of keep a track of that changes and then automate some kind of communication to those people. And hence there are some automations available which can actually track the changes of the profile of a profile of LinkedIn, and then track back and get the corresponding contact details of the of that specific person, and then a email cadence can be created for a specific user. And this automation actually helped us to kind of renew those relationships with the old customers or the old prospects whom we already have demonstrated our product. On a similar way, there are many more automations which are possible in the sales cycle. Like you can create a email cadence as soon as you have given a demo. So as soon as your sales guy has clicked on demo done in the CRM, automatically an email cadence can be sent to that particular person, and it can be auto created. Say, let's say after 3 days or 7 days or 10 days, you can start giving some of the educational content to these people. So there are good and enough number of automations available in the sales cycle, which actually reduces the time of sale and parallelly the customer acquisition cost. Now today we'll be talking about the incentives, how the incentives can be automated, and how it can actually drive those positive action and behaviors among the people. So incentive automation is the key. So the sales guys who are working with you are the ones whom you have to you have to motivate at all times. And whenever you think of the incentives, you typically, what you do is you launch a particular incentive campaign, and then people kind of see that incentive campaign, but there is less of rigor in of that incentive program, which means that you have to create that interest among the people to kind of earn those incentives and sell more, right? So incentive automation is the key. It actually helps you in saving time on launching different types of schemes. You provide live updates and scorecards to the users, which actually makes the target achievement fun. Reduces all the manual and operational errors. And this is an interesting insight that you a lot of times you juggle around asking the team members to fill or feed the data correctly in the CRM or the DMS, and you fail to do so. So when you connect incentives or digitize the incentives in connection with the CRM, people get more cautious to kind of make the spends or feed the data more correctly. And when you have automated the incentive, you can actually measure the effectiveness of the incentive program on the go, and overall helps you to build a trust and transparency between the team and the brand. And incentives will also help you to kind of give those simulations to the user, saying that okay, so if the user has to understand that okay, how much sales I should do to kind of earn, let's say, $50,000. So those simulators can start getting created once you have kind of automated the incentives, and overall the auditing process and the payout process becomes much more seamless and informed and more kind of transparent. And it overall, the incentive automation will help you in 360-degree in kind of motivating the teams to kind of do better. Yeah, so let's get into some of the numbers. There are some study done by different agencies like Accenture, Gallup, Harvard Business Review, etc. And a study done by Accenture has in fact told that shows that due to the complexity, poor analytics, and errors and delays, typically companies end up spending more money than they have kind of budgeted for the incentives, and overall kind of the traditional or manual incentive program becomes notoriously inefficient. Vis-a-vis, if you take a digital approach, it actually helps you to increase the sales, increase the profitability, lower the absenteeism, and also lower the attrition pieces. And these are some of the study done by different companies. And I'm sure you, as the sales leaders and the business leaders, you might have encountered at any given point of time that okay, yes, sales incentive is something which is not automated, and people actually crib about these incentive pieces. This is an interesting fact which has been quoted by Gartner. It says that a sales representative actually spend more than 15% of his time in in calculation of the incentives, and this is fairly large amount of time which with the sales rep actually spend the time, and you need to kind of make it more meaningful and reduce the time of the person so that they can spend time more on kind of doing sales. And uh, think about that. Incentives typically are not just for sales team. It can also be used for your tele sales team, or the channel partners, or the distributors, for the customer support team. So customer support team, again, you have people to kind of solve some kind of tickets, and those tickets, again, you always want that every agent should solve more number of tickets, so you can use incentives in these scenarios. And you also have incentives for the gig workforce. So the gig workforce are the ones who are who might be of the nature of, let's say, a delivery boy, or a person who comes for, let's say, your Wi-Fi installation, or your or any other people who are of the after sales support pieces. So incentives can be for everyone, and incentives actually help you to drive those positive goals and behaviors, and automation of it will actually help you to optimize a lot of process in the sales cycles and reduce the CAC part. So, whenever you want to automate the incentives, you first need to understand, your current data systems. Now, your current data systems can be the ones where you're tracking all the transactions. It can be a CRM, or it can be a dealer management system, or it can be an ERP, where you kind of store all the data, in the system. So first you need to understand your data architecture on how the sales cycle or the sales order punching actually flows. And then once you have understood those integrations, you then have to kind of find out a incentive gamification tool, which can actually fit into these data systems, and help you to build dashboards, and these dashboards will actually help you to configure those incentives to the goals and behaviors. So let's say if you're launching a particular incentive program for the sales team, and you want to kind of give away incentives on the basis of the sales quota, and the consistency, your tool should be able to kind of capture those data and help you to configure those incentives which are relevant for your audience. If it's a number of tickets for the customer support team, it should be on the basis of the number of tickets solved in a day, or it can be, if it's a gig workforce, then number of deliveries done in a day, or it can be basis the tenure, or the time you stay in the company, etc. So the dashboard should have elements of configuring the incentive to the goals and behaviors. So we talked about the integration, and then the configurations of the incentives, and then you start providing the live updates to the users. So the live updates are very important, so that on a real-time basis the user can see that, okay, where they have achieved in comparison to the target. They should be able to see what kind of schemes they are a part of, and they also should get a kind of nudge every day in the morning, saying that, okay, in the morning they should be able to see that, okay, if you're able to target, let's say, 10 units sale today, you get, say, 1,000 points extra, and every day in the evening they can get that, okay, your earning for the day is 300 points. So likewise, these nudges need to be created, so that the impact of investment is impact of incentives is more powerful, and all of it should come as a pop-up notification in the mobile app itself, which kind of makes the impact of the investment on the incentives more powerful. Once you set the live updates for the users, you also have to build some kind of infographics and widgets for the users and admins. For users, you kind of create widgets like the leaderboard, where the user can understand the performance among their peers. They should be able to understand that how he has earned over a period of time, that is the earning trend, They can also see that, okay, how they have sold different products across in different geographies, etc. So the widget bar should be able to kind of the widget bar should be able to kind of help the users to track their performance across different dimensions. And then for the admins, you need to understand that, okay, how much investment I've made and what kind of goal and behavior I've been able to drive through these the incentives. So different widgets are relevant for different users and admins, and that should be kind of useful for the user. Then you also need to set up the auditing and payout and taxation process. So here in India, there are different types of taxation laws for the on-roll employees as well as for the off-roll consultants. So need to study about the taxation and need to kind of automate the taxation flow, the payout, and the auditing process. Now, once you have set up those processes, you also need to kind of understand how you can break some kind of monotony which gets created among the workforce. So a lot of times you might have seen that the sales team create a kind of fatigue among their daily routine because of the monotony. And these micro achievement games would actually help you to break that monotony and make it make the life of sales team more fun. So this is one of the examples of the micro achievement game, which we call it as Tambola or Housey, where you can build some micro achievement blocks. So some of the blocks can be, let's say, close first deal of the day. This block can be opened, or the customer has said wow, or has given a testimonial to you, right? Or you've spoken to a customer with V in their name, right? Or it can be as simple as the CSAT score is 10. So likewise, you can actually build these micro achievement blocks and let the people to play this game. And once the user achieve a particular or unlock a particular block, you can give some kind of incentives. Or if they can complete, let's say, the first row or the first column or the corners or the mid portion, you can give something more. And you can also gamify, saying that the person who completes all the blocks, the first 3 people can get some bigger reward. And likewise, you can make the users play these kind of games and make these people break that monotony which gets created in the sales front. Then the tool should also have widgets to kind of show the predictions. So you might have launched, let's say, 5-7 campaigns in the past. So the system should be able to understand that, okay, what kind of incentives have been earned by a specific user and what kind of output he has given over a period of time. And hence, by normalizing of these things using the AI, AI algorithm, you can build some kind of prediction saying that, okay, this is the ideal incentive programs which can be launched for a set of users. And these predictions are very important because currently we have seen that incentive programs are launched typically by the gut feel. We kind of think that, okay, 10% of the overall, let's say, the software sales would be given as an incentive, but that is totally basis the gut feel. And when you have some predictions and AI layer to understand those predictions, those capability of a user and how they have kind of earned over a period of time, it will actually help you to optimize costs over a period of time, and also help you to kind of spot that recommended set of incentive which you should launch for the team. So these are some of the elements which need to be kind of covered while you're kind of automating the incentives. And overall, if you see the sales cycle, if you've picked up the incentive as one of the automation, then you have to take care of all these elements which will actually make your incentive programs more powerful and not just a formality altogether. So I think this was a short one, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And yes, we'll be glad to take that.
Thank you so much, Kushal. We are open to the Q&A. Do we have any questions? I have already set the guidelines. So you can raise your hands, introduce yourself, and ask a question to Kushal if you have any queries. Will it wait for a while, Kushal, to see just if people are raising hands? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I think the questions might come on later. That's not a problem. Yeah. So thank you so much, Kushal, for taking your time out and being here and sharing your insights on marketing strategies. Moving
Thank you.
on. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes. Now moving
Thanks
on to.
everyone. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. So sorry. Yeah. Please. Okay. Okay. We have a question, I guess. Just a moment, Kushal. We have a question from Mr. Tarun Bhaduria. On the chat, he's asking what are the top 3 outcomes having overall sales cycle and incentive automation? How much of the cost optimization you have typically seen? So you can answer him.
Yeah. Yeah. So allow me to answer. When I automated incentives within my company. In fact, and we build incentive products too. If I speak about my company's details, I've been able to kind of so previously my sales cycle of any of the software sale was close to 4.5 months. And I've seen that it has been reduced to almost 3 months. And this is the data I'm sharing of last 6 months. We have kind of demonstrated to almost 500 odd companies, and then we have kind of calculated that number. The top 3 outcomes of this particular piece would be number one. So whenever you calculate the cost of a lead, you would calculate the cost of the lead right from generating a qualified lead to actual closure. And we saw that generating one lead costed us close to 3,500 rupees. And this was essentially the cost of the outbound sales team who call and then convert a lead and then set up a meeting. So a cost of one lead happened to be around 3,500 for us. When we automated some of the pieces around the incentives, it actually brought down to around 2,250. This was the impact which we saw. So a specific lead generation guy started kind of capturing and and scheduling more number of demos. So your key KPI of kind of getting those metrics right happened to be working well for us. Number two, we also saw that many we have been able to kind of reduce the attrition rate of this particular team. So usually we used to have close to 10 to 12% attrition quarter on quarter of our lead generation team, which has actually came down. So you need not to kind of rehire and spend more money on kind of training these guys. Number three, we have also seen that when the incentives are being kind of loaded for the actual sales team, the mainline sales team, when their sales cycle reduces, there is a motivation level which comes up, and they start kind of getting more sales altogether. So this would be the three outcomes, three major outcomes, I would say, of kind of automating the sales incentives.
Okay. Thank you, Kushal. Tarun, I hope your question was answered. Do you have further question on this?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Kushal, we have one more question from Kainaz Mehta. Kainaz,
Okay.
would you like to ask, since you have already put your question on the chat box?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Kushal. This is Kainaz here. I work with Wipro. And I just wanted to understand if we have been able to partner on this with any of the industry biggies, and we've seen a significant result out of it. And what is the kind of duration that one actually, is able to see the benefit or reap the benefit in terms of cost or motivation levels, etc., after this implementation? So
Sure. So kind of, the automation is something which kind of gets better over a period of time, and the output would be slow in the first 1 or 2 quarters, but after that, you would start seeing significant impact of these automation, and that's what we kind of suggest to the companies, because it actually takes some time to get adjusted to the technology and the automation piece. And overall, what we have seen is like yourself in Wipro, where the team size of sales would be relatively small, but the sales cycle would be relatively very, very large. it would be in the tunes of 9 to 24 months is what I've kind of seen. So in terms of, so different companies have different philosophy of giving the incentives. For your company size or your company type, the entire sales cycle is broken into many more kind of segments. It would be, let's say, while you have created an interest, there is a pre-sales team, then there is some validation team, then there are some research team, and then there are some other kind of demonstration giving team. So you can actually gamify and digitize incentives for all the intermediate steps, and help and allow the teams to kind of push that lead to different steps over a period of time. And in fact, to kind of share your answer about the duration of this particular automation to reap the benefits, typically we have seen 1 to 2 quarters in B2B setups altogether.
Okay.
I mean, more of the enterprise sales setup.
Okay. Okay. And typically, what would be the implementation time cushion?
If you talk about, I mean, there are many number of incentive automation tools, but if I talk about Zozoday, we typically take 1 to 2 weeks time to kind of implement, because it's a SaaS product. We just need to understand what kind of CRMs or the tools you're using, and then we can just connect it with some kind of webhooks and the connectors available, and then we can make it live. So it doesn't take too much time to go live.
Sure. And you've referred to sales all along in your conversation. So out of curiosity, have you also tried implementing this in the operations field? So typically, you know how BPO works, right? You would have an operations who would also need incentivization. So have you ever implemented it in any of the companies?
Yes, we have recently implemented for one of the large BPOs. It's one of the Wipro's competitors as well. I cannot name the company, but yes, on a personal kind of level, I can probably share some of the case study around that. So their work is to kind of reduce the attrition and increase the number of tickets solved or completed by every kind of agent. So these are two metrics which they are kind of impacting, and the entire rule engines and the workflows are being set using that.
Sure. Just sorry, one last question. What is the kind of cost that a company would look at incurring if we were to partner with you?
So, Kanaz, I think I would.
You can give a range. That's fine. You may not need to quote an exact this. I understand the that it will be basis the analysis, but maybe if there is a range that you can call out.
It's typically basis the number of license, and it would be close to I would say 25 to 30% of the cost of your CRM, which would go to this type of system.
Okay, Kushal. We can take that up separately. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kushal, for being here and
thank you, Ekta.
the questions quite well.
Thank you.
So moving on to our next session, I would like to welcome Ms. Prachi Mohapatra, CMO, FBB Future Retail, Future Group. To speak about her, she's a business-oriented marketer with a keen interest in hearing the customers, working with a high-performance team of marketers, store experience, designers, and analysts. She will be sharing her insights on discovering new opportunities and adapting to recovery strategies, building our customers in the era of pandemic. Over to you, Ms. Prachi, to share your presentation and start the session.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you for having me here, and a very warm welcome to everybody who has logged in today on a Saturday morning to be here. I'll start sharing my screen, and Shreya, let me know if you can see it, not see it properly. Yeah.
Yes, Prachi.
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Good. Cool. Thank you, guys. And I think Kushal actually has set the ball rolling for the session. I would like a little bit of an interaction before we move ahead. The screen shows a few image of what generally is happening in today's world. If somebody can unmute themselves or can raise a hand or tell me what's going on here on the chat. Anyone? Ekta, you can read the chat if somebody has written something, because I am not seeing the chat.
Sure, I will. If anybody writes, yes, sir. Okay, we have Mr. Sriram Subramaniam mentioning listening to the customers.
Okay. Any more guesses? Saturday morning, all of us are supercharged.
Okay, we have from Jaydeep who mentions digital engagement.
Okay, cool. So I'll take it up from here. Thank you so much, guys, for your answers. If there are any more, Ekta, you
Yes.
can just read them out
We
for
have
me.
from Yash Javed who mentions getting hooked onto OTT platforms. And,
Okay, cool.
and Atul Dole mentions listening to management meetings.
Okay, I'll put a full stop to the discussions
Okay,
here.
we have two more. Sonali Ilaika mentions social media.
Uh-huh.
The Neeraj Sharma, social media knocking on the doors of a common man.
Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yes,
So I'll do the bubble burst here and do the reveal here.
Yes, last two. We have Kainaz Mehta mentioning most hooked onto different social platforms, and Ganesh Prasad Mishra mentioning social media is leading information.
Wow. Do we have a running mind? And yes, most of you are partly right, mostly right. This is what happens with, and this is exactly my phone listening to anything when I say I'm wanting to buy something. So everybody over here has apps on their phone. So I'm an iPhone user. Is there an iPhone user in the group? If there is an iPhone user in the group, can I have request one of the iPhone users at least to unmute themselves and take this exercise with me? Any one of the iPhone users. Ekta, if you have an iPhone, I can take you also.
Okay, no, I don't have.
What?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, yeah, we have someone. Yes, please.
Cool. So go to your settings.
Okay,
Go to privacy.
just a minute. Yeah,
Yeah. And check your mic.
my. Yeah, got
How
it.
many of the apps have you turned on?
Like it's for all: Zoom, YouTube, WhatsApp, Translate,
So
Meet,
here you
Skype.
have the answer. Here you have the answer to this slide. All of them are listening to you because you have given them a right to listen to you. And that's exactly what's happening to all of us. So whenever, thank you so much. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
whoever unmuted himself and herself and actually took up the exercise. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So here we go. When we are keeping on wondering every time we talk about a brand, so for example, I'll take my brand FBB, and you keep on saying that, okay, you know what, I'm wanting to buy a denims from FBB, this, a chat between you and your friends, you and your mother, whatever happens. And after a while, you go to your social media and you start seeing all the ads from FBB, all the ads from Max, all the ads from Westside. And this is exactly what happens. You have given them a right to listen to you 24/7. The phone is never on sleep mode. And that's why exactly all of us are getting intrigued by brands which are listening to us all the time. That said, doesn't mean FBB does it or Max does it. But all the apps definitely are on, and you only have given them the right to do so. So we'll come back to the slide later on. This was just a practical experience for all of us to see what's happening in our daily life, and that's something all of us need to be aware of when we are talking about a lot of privacy, lot of information that is being passed, and we'll talk about this slide later on. So let's move ahead and talk a little bit about what's happening to us in this pandemic. I don't want to say unprecedented situation anymore. It doesn't remain unprecedented anymore after 6 months. What's happening to us in this situation? A few of my own example. I'll take my own example. A few of my personal changes which I've seen in my life. My favorite characters, how they have shaped up in the past 6 months. This was me. I'm a huge fan of Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm a huge fan of Neena Gupta ji. And this is exactly what there were, and Sholay definitely remains on the top of the game. So these were a few of my characters, favorite characters, a few of my current favorite characters. I'm sure I know somebody mentioned in the first slide itself how OTT is taking over life. No rocket science in this situation. Definitely what's happening in this situation, in the past 6 months, I have moved from being a hugely set-top box consumer to a OTT consumer. Having said that, I had been a hybrid consumer in the past 3.5 years, but my skew towards the movement has fastened up. And how has it happened? In fact, the Bombay Rains, I stay in Bombay, and the Bombay Rains have actually hastened this entire process of me moving completely from the set-top box to OTT. But what's happening in our lives, what's happening in our daily lives is the kind of content that we are consuming, the kind of experience that we are getting from OTT platforms is definitely what is changing in the practical aspects of how we are looking at the platforms, various platforms that we are interacting with. In fact, so much so that a few of us actually have moved from this side of the slide to this side completely and have actually cut the cord, terming a new word called cord cutters, which means that we have definitely moved from one area to other area, from a black to a white. But having said that, it's not the end of the era for television or for the box. Let's see how it is shaping. After a few research conducted around the globe, what we are seeing is when we're looking at the middle class, what we're seeing, there is a major hybrid model which is there. At this point of time, the set-top box rules. We in India are a single TV household. Most of the households are single TV still, and the content that is being consumed is primarily through a set-top box. Now, how is the future looking like? Are the internet and the data providers still there? They are still there, but they exist in hybrid. Whatever has happened in this situation, we definitely have moved a lot to OTTs faster. People like me definitely have moved faster. But what's happening, and how is it that they're reacting to it, and what's the future looking like? And the future is definitely the big screen. That's the television in your household is still set-top box. It still has not moved from a set-top box to a OTT. Now, the future is looking like the kind of content, the kind of consumption of content that's happening. It's looking like it's going to be moving towards the big screen, or the TV in your household is going to be moving towards OTT content. Still time, but it's happening, and it's happening with firm-footedness. Why is it happening, and what is it that I don't want to throw numbers at you and overwhelm you with numbers saying that this is exactly what the numbers of growth of Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney or Hotstar. It's happening. All of them are growing in triple-digit numbers, specifically in India as well. Now, what's happening? Let's look at what's happening and how, what is the content being consumed on these platforms, which is leading to a more and more consumers or people like me and you getting hooked to it. There is a lot of original content that you see on OTT. I'm sure most of us, when we watch, we definitely are. If somebody can give me on the chat, how many of you have watched Sacred Games? Let's take the example of Netflix. How many of you have watched Sacred Games? If just you can just put Y or N on the chat box. Shreya, am I visible?
Yes, Prachi, you are.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I just lost.
Yes, ma'am, you are visible.
Okay. How many of you can I see the chat box? Some content in the chat box. Shreya, I can't see the chat box, so I'm completely dependent on you here.
Yes, so we'll have
Ekta, can
somebody put can somebody just answer how many of you have seen Sacred Games on Netflix?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying yes.
So why have you watched Sacred Games? So when Sacred Games were launched, in fact I'm going to say that season 1 was far more interesting than season 2 ever. But when season 1 got launched, it took there were my friends who actually watched it over the weekend. And I remember FIFA finale was happening, and still people were watching Sacred Games and consuming the content over the weekend, over the weekend. there was such a major FOMO which started happening, and it started bubbling amongst people saying that, okay, are we missing out on something which is great? And these were times when actually OTT, Netflix was still trying to make the inroads into India market. Then when we started hearing about a cult content on a OTT, what it did was there was a lot of traffic which moved into Netflix, and people were actually going into Netflix just to watch Sacred Games. Maybe there were consumption which is happening only to watch this kind of cult only available on kind of a space. So how the entire movement or the production money also started floating in. There is a lot of artificial intelligence, and I'm sure Kushal talked about a lot about this, the AI ML part of the conversation of marketing. What happens is OTT content, the players like Netflix, Prime, and Disney Hotstar, they base their judgment to produce a content basis a lot of AI and intelligence that's thrown their way, from intelligent machine which actually knows what is the skewness of a content, what is the skewness of an star which is moving around. So this is why they have started putting their production money on original content, and this is why there is a lot of share, there is a lot of movement which is going to go into original content as well. Now let's come back to the previous slide of our friend enemy, our phone, right? And I'm going to take you through a very simple process of what we are experiencing as human beings. It might be very common to have a few people who already know what goes behind this mode of this process. But let me just take you through a journey as to how we get followed on our phone. So here I am watching something like a Netflix or an Amazon Prime. Netflix or an Amazon Prime or a Voot gets all my details. Now, what am I watching? I'm watching a rom-com. Now, the AI records my interest. It puts me to a specific cohort, saying that, okay, Prachi, in the age group of this, female is consuming this content. Now, I'm going to take my favorite OTT platform, Netflix. How many of you are on Netflix? And if you've ever watched Netflix, there is a percentage which comes on the top of the panel. Have you guys seen it? And if there are any Netflix user, can you tell me what does that percentage mean? Anybody on the chat? Ekta, depending on you now.
Yes. So we have Ganesh Prashad Mishra mentioning yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Yes. And what does that percentage mean? If there can be any answers.
Mr. Ganesh, if you want to answer, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, please go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yeah, it says my percentage choice match. How my what I watch, how much it match to my choice.
Perfect. That's exactly what happens. So the percentage determines what the machine is doing is throwing at you and telling you whatever content you are watching, this matches the person. This is the percentage of choice which you will like. So if it is 98%, you'll love it. If it is 72%, it's a tepid area to move on, right? So this is exactly what happens when you are watching it, and this is exactly what is how intelligent the machine is becoming. It's throwing content at you and telling you exactly what you will like or not like. Also, not only that, it keeps on throwing content at you saying that if you like this, you will like that. And how does that happen? Now, moving ahead to my journey, I'm still watching Netflix. An ad from a specific brand can be customized and served to me as per the content I'm watching. I'm going to give you an example in the next slide as to how personalized an ad can get, right? And it can be, it's programmatic has been taken over the world for us. And in India, it's still warming up. I was in a panel yesterday and we were still discussing how it is still making inroads, but how customized an ad becomes as per the content that you're watching will see it in the next slide. Now I go to I'm still watching. Now most of us are on double screen, and I'm still watching on the big screen. I'm watching the OTT content, and on my phone I've started logging in, and I've started experiencing, and I am started moving through my social media content. And suddenly there are this look-alike brands like Hotstar, Amazon Prime. They start following me. What they have done is they're intelligent enough. They have actually seen that I've logged in onto some other platform and I'm watching content, and they're throwing their sponsored ads at me saying that, okay, this is what you're watching, this is what you can like, you will like. Now, how does this happen? I'm sorry, whoever took that exercise and told me that he has given rights to all the apps to follow him is not only has basically given an right to all the apps to follow him around. So a single brand can follow you across the web, across apps, and give the brand a single unified view of you, a single profile of you as a consumer. So that gives the app a lot of knowledge, a brand, a lot of knowledge about you. Whatever you are experiencing or communicating with the brand on a certain platform does not restrict the brand to that platform only. It gives you, you have given it a right to follow you across the space. And it's something that definitely is done through cookies, it's done through your numbers following, it's done through your historical experiences that you are following throughout the web. Now moving to, as I promised, I'll show you, and this is something that I saw in one of my previous interaction on a site. If you're watching content like Arya on I think it's on Hotstar, Disney Hotstar, an ad served from Nescafe can like drink it like a dawn. Yeah. If you're watching Little Things on Netflix, then the same brand can throw an ad and say a love story. It all starts with Nescafe. So that's a quantum of personalization that can happen. That's the extent of personalization we can achieve. Now coming to some life truths about, since I was asked to do a little bit of what's going to happen in this situation, I thought that let me just put my thoughts together and put some ideas together. What is it that we're experiencing? Now, the first life truth that we're experiencing at this point of time, there are 50 crores users. 50 crores, it's like you can see it on your slide that it's more than Mexico and Canada and US put together. Out of this 50 crores internet users, 45 crores have smartphones. They're on smartphones. That's the quantum of smart users we are interacting with now. Now let's look at some of the truths that's going to be that's going to stay with us. That was already there in our life. So these are as enduring truths. Truths is basically were there and would be there. So these are truths which will pass through this entire situation and be enduring for a longer period of time. We're proud to be Desi. We were always proud to be Desi. But this entire situation, what it has done is basically brought us closer to our roots. It has basically brought us closer, and we're looking out of the window and saying that, okay, this is what's happening around me. This is what is available to me. This is what I will sustain on. This is what will boost my immunity. We are going to be stronger about being confident about us being Indians. Second is my root, my language, my bhasha. That's something that we are again coming back even more further, closer to our roots. We are proud, and we definitely are going back to how we are looking at content being consumed. And this is, I think this is true. On YouTube, there is a number that's being thrown that on YouTube, the content that is the content that is getting consumed in vernacular is way higher than the content getting consumed in English. In fact, approximately 93% of YouTube users are interacting in vernacular language. So Hindi being the top, and Tamil and Telugu are following it. So these are the numbers which are going to stay true. Was it earlier there? Absolutely, it was always there. What this situation has done, it's going to make it even stronger. Third is independent women every day. Now, we all know the situation has moved us back and said that, okay, there has been a lot of conversation, voice going on, how women have held this entire situation far more stronger, because that's the part of the life that is through, that's actually holding your life together. So this is going to be again one more truth, and the researchers and the conversations are still proving, and this is one more enduring truth which will take us ahead. Going to the accelerating truth. Now, what this entire acceleration situation has done, what are the truth, what are the moments of truth which are going to see faster change? So just to put an analogy, whatever digital maturity any company has been, the situation has actually pushed the company to move faster than required. As there is a joke which goes on in the community saying that what CIOs, CDOs, and CMOs could not do, this entire situation of COVID has done. So basically moving the digital faster than ever it could have done. So these are some of the accelerating truths which are going to stay. Balancing the we and me. Now, all of us are looking into family time. All of us are definitely looking inside and saying that, okay, let's see what we can do, how we can balance our family time. But we are going to balance the we and me. As we mentioned earlier, TV is for family consumption, single TV households, but my phone is my consumption. Yeah. So that's something that is staying true for the number 6 point also. Entertainment for me, by me. While I will have a situation wherein I'm going to enjoy time with my family, there is my me time also, there is my space also, and I will definitely I'm going to guardrail it. It's never too late to learn. All of us are on skill sets, new skill sets. All of us are hounding for what we can add value to. That's going to be one area in which all of us are getting invested. And in fact, the edtech industry, a friend of mine was mentioning the edtech industry is moving ahead by 75 to 80%. That's huge. That's somewhere all of us are in. The last point that's going to be accelerated is authenticity. Now we are looking for heroes for sure, but we're looking for heroes next door. We're looking for heroes in us. That's going to be, I'm not going to get influenced by a glitzy ad anymore. I'm going to get influenced by raw truth. So is an accelerating truth that's going to be there. So that brings us to basically what is it that we are going to see, and what is it that as marketeers we are going to experience. We have to meet consumers where they are. It was always the truth. All of us were running for it, but it's become truer than ever. The right messages need to be spoken, and it has to be acted upon rather than just saying that, okay, I'm a glitzy brand, come and wear me or come and interact with me. That's not going to happen. People are looking for raw, right emotions and actions from us as a brand. Right product, please deliver a product flawlessly. I'm not ready to compromise on services anymore, because most of us have moved from the offline space to online space, and I'm wanting the interaction to be as personalized and as flawless as possible. And that's when the conversion of a customer will happen and magic will get. Thank you so much, guys, for interacting and having a fun session with me. Ekta, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Prachi. It was an interesting session, of course. We'll move on for the question and answer session. Audiences, do we have any questions? Please raise your hands. I have already set the guidelines. Unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and you can ask your question to Prachi.
Yeah, I have question.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Prachi. And I'm a big, I can say, fan of yours. Starting that Kerala ad you did, Machan hyper localization of FBB.
Thank you so much.
And then actually, I just wanted to know, I also follow a lot for Kishore Bihani, because the way the Big Bazaar has started, because he thought that how the people of India like the bazaar and the kind of crowd comes and everything. Now you have shown in the slide that how it is moving from a television set, evening time of family, to a OTT and personalization. So where do you look that from Big Bazaar, FBB's latter Big Bazaar fashion was fast came, and then FBB, and still Big Bazaar, I think I have not visited for last couple of months, and not for lockdown, before lockdown I'm talking. So how you look that India can go in the way for this kind of business?
You mean to say for the online business?
No, this mall or your set of everything. Do you feel that this will grow, or it will going to be completely online after few maybe years or down the
Okay.
line? How
Okay.
you look at it?
Okay, Ganesh, if I'm just trying to summarize your question. So basically you are asking me whether this situation or this pandemic will actually impact the situation that the offline business completely moves to online business, or there will be a hybrid model. Is that the question?
Yeah, it's almost like that. I just wanted to understand that how the market, you on your perspective, you look that market after 5 years will be going to be.
Okay. So in the next 5 years, see, your guess is as good as mine. As marketeers, we are also seeing the changes every minute, by the minute. The situation has been so dynamic. We were up and running within the first 14 days with a Big Bazaar e-com site. But the situation is so dynamic that all of us are trying to adapt. All of us are trying to adapt by the minute. I will not give a next 5 years situation. What I am seeing and what we are seeing as in the universe of our 500 Big Bazaar store, and in the larger picture, approximately 1800 to 1900 stores that we have with us, is online business is definitely going to boost. And that's exactly what I said. Whatever digital maturity we have been, any organization has been, there is no other way out. We before marketeers, all of us are as consumers. What are we doing as consumers? We are placing our orders online. We are interacting with the brand online. We're waiting for our products to come to our doorstep online. So definitely there is going to be a space wherein online business is going to increase. Is it going to be completely from offline to online? No, that's never going to be the situation. What will happen is definitely this will accelerate the online business to an extent that we were not looking at before we entered into this situation. It will accelerate it, but it will definitely come and balance itself in a space wherein both of them will coexist at a very respectable percentage.
Thank you. I just last one thing. Do you feel that it is need to plug FBB into some of the what you called already existing sales online platform? Because for me to search anything for my wearing or office, do I go fbb.com, or I would look into Amazon, and there I will go that let me go to a FBB store in Amazon or Flipkart, which will be easy for me. What's your take in that? Because that will give me an idea of what you call other people also, where I just discuss. That's my personal interest. I just wanted to know which is good for you. You think that which is very good, whether it is a FBB alone that I will no, I will go for fbb.com and I will select the apparels, or I will plug into the other platform where I can go to now in electronics, I can go to Sony store in the Amazon and I can select my Sony.
Thanks, Ganesh. That's a good plugin for me. That's a good plugin opportunity for me as a brand. You can find me on fbbonline.in. You can find me at shop@bigbazaar.com. You can find me at Amazon. So all the three platforms are open, and we have been running FBB Online successfully since the past 3.5, 4 years. And Shop at BB is a recent concept, but we were already there online. And Amazon, you can find me. So all three of the spaces, wherever you want to find me, you can find me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prachi.
Thanks, Ekta.
Yeah, it was nice
Ekta,
having you.
Ekta,
Yes.
hi Ekta, this is Khalid here.
Yes,
Prachi, I am Khalid Ahmed from Bharat Petroleum. I take care of Mac lubricants.
Hi,
So
Khalid.
hi. So the thing is, I was just listening to your presentation, and that there has always been this question in my mind, that how do you explore or leverage this digital platform for a category that is a category of products that does not involve the person to make the decision, or rather it's a less rational category. So do you think exploiting this platform will give me results, or is it always on field activities or on field activation that's going to help me?
Hi, Khalid. Khalid, I'll take the question in two ways. As a marketeer, what we have seen across industries, what we experience across industries is A, there are products like us, B, FMCG products like us, B, there are retailers like us. C, there are service industry. D, there are products like U, which serve from backend. And when I say backend, it's not only products like Bharat Petroleum. It's somebody like a SaaS organization also, which deals into providing us our backbones. I think most of the conversations that you see can be now on the digital medium, can be now so targeted. If you want a brand building campaign, go for a brand building campaign. If you want to do a transactional campaign, you can go for a transactional campaign. For brands like you, I think it makes a lot of noise to go back and have a space in the heart of consumers, touch the consumers right at the touch point as to making how you are touching on their lives. Now this can be a marketeer's point of view from as a third party consumer. How would I want to know British Petroleum is definitely maybe exactly anything that how you are making an impact in my life. That's what I would like to know. Whether or not I'm going to be your consumer directly doesn't matter.
Thanks, Prachi.
Yes, thank you so much, Prachi.
Thanks, Ekta.
Great session, of course, and audience got engaged. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, Ekta. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you all.
Yes, thanks. Moving on to our last interesting session, we have a panel discussion on redefining marketing in the times of crisis leading through COVID-19. I would like to welcome Mr. Nishant Bhadrawaj, AVP Brand and Digital Marketing, State Bank of India. To speak about him, Nishant has a formidable experience of 10 years brand and digital marketing in e-commerce, BFSI, FMCG, and automotive sectors. With experience in corporate setups, startups, and PSUs, he has been instrumental in creating renowned brands such as Yono SBI, Yono Shopping, Festival, SBI Green Marathon, Zop.com, Tata Magic, and many more. He has also been a show host on the podcast and YouTube shows like Trifantry, Ultra Fitness Show, Ironman Coach, and he is an athlete, speaker, and a writer. Requesting Nishant to take over and introduce all the panel members, and then you can start the discussion of the panel. Thank you, Nishant.
Thank you so much, Ekta, for having me and in the entire panel. The previous session was very enlightening, even for us marketers. And thank you so much once again for that lovely introduction. I am thankful for sharing the stage with the industry stalwarts. We have some mega superstars, so to say, of the corporate world. Let me just share my screen and start introducing in the alphabetical order. I would request our panel members to put their videos live on so that people can see everyone. Okay, let me share the screen with you all. Shreya, just testing it out. Can you see?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Great. Kushal is here. Anand sir is here. Jaideep. Okay, great. So all of us are online. The topic for the panel discussion is redefining marketing in times of crisis leading through COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen who have tuned in, thank you for joining in once again. We have all been reading through various articles and various images and WhatsApp forwards about how certain industries are experiencing high demand and low demand. So to delve deeper into what real-time strategies you can apply in your business, we have a mixed group of various industries who are experiencing high and low demand at the same time. So I'll take this opportunity to introduce each one of us. You have already seen me. We have first Mr. Anand Agarwal, who is a business head at Cipla. He's also a senior director with over 20 years of experience in pharma sector. He loves driving, writing, and meeting new people, such as today. We have a group of 60 people joining in, and he continuously talks on various management platforms to share his thought leadership. We have with us Dr. Anvita Prabhakara. She has just started her own business consulting. She has worked in various MNCs across her 16 years of career in Aditya Birla, Castrol India, and also has been one of the major awardees on global platforms and been on various advisory board. Additional thing is that she's a third degree black belt in combat arts and training for last 13 years. So if you have any other questions regarding fitness and combat arts, feel free to contact her post this session. Then we have Jaideep Deshpande. He's one of the industry stalwarts. He's leading the enterprise marketing for Google Cloud Solutions. He comes with over 17 years of experience in sales marketing and helping various brands across different industries to take their business forward through various enterprise solutions. Then we have Kushal Agrawal. He's a chief strategy officer at Zozo Day. He's an entrepreneur. He's been involved in selling. He likes to call himself a salesman, and he's traveled and worked in more than 65 countries. So be sure that he has multiple passports with him, with multiple stamps on his passport. Let me just kickstart this. I will stop the screen share so that you may see the entire panel in the gallery view. I would request all the panelists to, keep their cameras on. Okay, so kickstarting the session, redefining marketing in the times of COVID. Guys, as you all are marketers and people into brands, you would be experiencing in your own organizations demand which is completely skewed. All the business plans from previous years have gone out of the window. All the new plans for Q1, Q2 are also not working right now. The consumer behavior has evolved drastically, and it'll be safe to say that India has truly become digital in the last 3 to 4 months itself, right from the young age group of millennials and Generation Z and Generation Alpha, which is already on the way, along with people in the age groups of 60, 70, 80, even they have started doing Zoom calls and whatnot and started ordering everything. So this is an amazing opportunity. I would like to hear from each of our panelists as to what kind of demand, high or low, you are experiencing currently, and kind of consumer behaviors you are experiencing, the shift in consumer behaviors. Feel free, jump in. I will mute myself.
Thanks, right? My name is Anand. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Doc. So I think it's being pandemic, and pandemic everybody talks about health. No, that's what. And as being into the healthcare industry, and I work with Cipla, so I would say that one thing that you have talked about how the sales and the demand going up and down, and what has happened in this pandemic in the industry. I'll give you a quick run through. Once this pandemic came, I think one thing had happened. Everybody thinks that it is a time of healthcare industry to boom and zoomed, and everybody is thinking that the only industry which remain immune to the entire pandemic is the healthcare. And I would say to an extent, I'm not denying that fact that yes, healthcare is being a disease. Obviously, in healthcare we'll have a solution around it, but it's not about the full. Everybody in healthcare is remain unaffected. If you look at in your own life, I just give you a little perspective. In last 5 months, this pandemic has forced all of us to become more and more alert and aware about our health. And if you would have seen, last 6 months, how many of us has got any illness? The cold or the throat pain or gastritis or anything. In my close one, none of them, because we have become so conscious about it. So the entire infection has gone down. Infection rate has gone down. And that has been reflected in the healthcare also. So I would say in healthcare, it was a mixed feeling. The mandatory medicines, mandatory, I would say that we call in category as in chronic medicines like diabetics or hypertension, blood pressure medicines. The medicine which was mandated to have, that continue to they continue to grow because you don't have any options around it. What has gone down in healthcare also is the infections. The entire infectious categories has gone in and a slide down because infections are not taking place. That was another side of the story. With this pandemic, what the new thing has emerged is the wellness sector. The entire wellness, and I think many of my co-panelists who are into technicals and all digital, they would have seen it. If you look at some of, I was discussing with some of my friends in digital online pharmacy and others. Some of them shared that in the beginning of pandemic, in first quarter of this financial year, from April to June, they have seen a remarkable change in the wellness products. And they were among the highest rate. Curcumin, turmeric, Chyawanprash, Amla juice. I think these are not medicines. So this sector has come hugely. I think it was unexpected thing that has happened in pharma, that this wellness has zoomed up. So if you say it, as I've seen, I think this pandemic has posed lots of things to think around it. That it's not that every time you'll be immune. It has forced us to think differently. What are the new opportunities coming up, galloping around it, picking them up. So that's what pharma is. That's what healthcare is all about. I think the entire thing is getting into different moods.
It is quite interesting what you're highlighting right now, because most of the graphs that are showing healthcare or medical industry to be growing, and this is something of a flip side what we are experiencing. Jaideep, would you like to come in and share your thought on what is happening overall business through cloud?
Sure. So thanks Nishant for asking that question, and some great inputs, Anand. I feel there's definitely a change that has happened from where we were about 5 months back. I think it's about 150, 155 days since the pandemic started. There are a couple of points that probably I can share. People say that what's the scenario like? There was a pre-COVID world and there will be a post-COVID world. In my opinion, there are only two worlds. There is no post-COVID world. There is a pre-COVID world, and now there's a with COVID world. So there's no such thing as post-COVID, because things will change. People's perceptions, people's approach towards businesses, people's approach towards buying certain stuff, whether it's B2C, B2B, have changed, but not dramatically. It's just the approach has changed. So that brings me to the second point, which is, if you look at marketing in general, I think the basic tenets or basic principles of marketing remain the same. They haven't changed, whether it's in the form of B2B engagement or B2C engagement. There is a buyer, there is a seller, and there's everything in between that you generally engage with, right? Whether it's marketing, sales, operations, pre-sales, after sales, that remains the same. However, the approach to kind of engage with the customer, the approach the customer engages with the buyer has changed dramatically. And I'll kind of explain that in a moment. Today, digital has taken center stage. If you go back about 5 months, 6 months back, and for the last, say, 5 odd years, everybody was talking about digital. Digital was always a part of the strategy. I have a feeling that digital today has become the strategy. And with that, it takes the center stage, which also means that technology plays a very, very critical role, which also means that analytics plays an extremely important role. And when we say that, if you look at the consumers also, there is no such thing as a weekend anymore, right? We are all working from home. And every day is a day wherein buyers can sell and sellers can sell and buyers can buy, right? So things have changed a little bit. The approach towards engaging with the consumers have changed. And I think we need to kind of ride that wave. Everyone, the additional point that probably, Nishan, I can share with you is that today, the problem with digital is that everybody is doing digital. And the current understanding of digital is very, I would say, opaque and traditional. And when I say that, it means that, if you ask multiple people, digital is what? People will say there is webinars, there is SEO, SEM, there is portal website engagement, etc., or online engagement, etc. But that's how we looked at digital about a year back also, or maybe even 5 years back, right? I'm pretty sure that the digital ocean is so huge that now as we dive deep into it, we will be able to see many more engagement formulas within the digital ocean. Frankly, even I don't know, and I'm learning by the day. And I'm pretty sure we'll all unearth that there's so much we can do with digital, which probably we haven't even touched. We have probably just touched the tip of the iceberg. So that's my take on the initial comments, Nishant.
Kushal and Dr. Anvita, feel free to join in because you guys are directly helping out businesses in the B2B and B2C domain in strategizing and developing products. for the future. So feel free to jump in. And what is your take on how the B2B businesses are seeing this new trend?
Yes. So thanks, Nishant, for the question, number one. So I have two seats that I can talk from. One is from the consulting seat, and one is essentially as a marketer, and of course, the most important seat as a consumer myself. And that's I think the most prima facie, the most important thing. What I see, and I echo Jaideep's points, which is like there is no post in pre-COVID, but it's pre and with COVID. I think that's absolutely correct. And also, Mr. Anand is with supply is definitely kind of growing with their healthcare in this current scenario. That goes without saying. But that set aside, I think the larger discussion comes in the context whether you as a marketer or as a business, let's put our business hats on and say, is it more to do with my product or service being a primary product, or is it a secondary product? Like for instance, when we were at Castrol becomes a secondary product because you, the consumer, either needs to have a car, a truck, a tractor, or a bike, and only then will my oil come into your vehicle, right? So that is the most important differentiating factor, one. And two, the other thing is also the which are the sectors or which are the categories in which the current consumer or the current customer is willing to take a chance. I'd like to give an example over here. For instance, if I was a customer in the let's say apparel or clothing sector, then in these times with not reduced, with more conscious spending of my money as a consumer, I would be okay to go from, let's say, a Zara, Mango, to try some new brand like Fitur, which is a new brand in, let's say, based out of Rajasthan, and they have make in India kind of contemporary wear and apparel and accessories. I would be open, to experiment with a different new brand, a boutique brand. But if I'm talking about my car, and regardless of the corona, regardless of any other new pandemic that comes in, if my car is constantly used to a Castrol oil going in, and I'm used to that kind of quality, then there I won't be flexible. So I think the number or the buck changes for which category you belong to, and whether you're a primary or a secondary product. This thing. The other thing that I see from a consultant seat, now all this that I spoke to you was from the business perspective, but if I look from the consultant perspective, like Cipla, like every other healthcare thing, as a consultant, for me, my business has increased. More sought after. So as against sitting on the chair of Castrol or on the chair of Aditya Birla, now as a consultant, I have more requirements because both B2B and B2C organizations, be it small, be it big, be it established, are now looking at saving costs, because of the economy, obviously. So they're looking to save costs. So they would look at see who would kind of come on board and change whatever we've been doing all this while, and let's say have every rupee accounted for, every money account, every penny accounted for. So in that context, as a consultant, both in the B2B and in the B2C sector, it makes a lot more sense, because this pandemic has actually opened up more windows for us. And also here, I would like to give an example of, let's say, this one manufacturer, cloth manufacturer again. He was always in the B2B sector. Suddenly he realized, with all the centrals and pantaloons and lifestyles and Shoppers Stop of the world kind of shutting down, at least temporarily, he has to sell his stock. So now he has to build his own brand. His own brand is called Doodle. So now he has to kind of build his brand directly to the consumers. So digitization also becomes very important. While he had a website all this while, it was totally non-functional. Now he has to make business through that website and through other social media. So I guess it's a good scene, and it's not really such a bad scene. And like Prachi rightly said, we're done with talking, and we're done with feeling gloomy about the pandemic. It's time to see what we can do now with this new changed scenario.
Kushal, I would like to hear your thought on how the B2B sector is evolving, and not just having a strategy like Jaideep mentioned. They are all doing it, but is it actually happening on the ground, and is the decision making becoming faster and more efficient now?
Yeah. So thanks, Vishant, and wonderful insights by Anitaji, Anandji, and Devi. Great to hear their thoughts. I would like to share some real life examples what I'm seeing in my company. previously being a director, you had to sign too many documents and checks, in a particular day. Suddenly, I can see that I barely have to sign any documents these days, and everything is digitized, and several banks have also started accepting those wire transfers, etc. The clients have started paying online. There are no more checks now, right? So they've also moved digital. Then I can see the real estate of what we used to call it as office has become the Zoom calls, right? So this has also changed. If you see in sales, when we were doing sales, we so as you rightly mentioned, I'm a salesman, and I used to do some 3 to 4 meetings in a day. Going out to the client space and pitching the product and demonstrating everything. I used to spend some 4 or 5 hours in the traffic, and to kind of actually kind of deliver that 8 hours of work. But now I can actually give 8 demos. So suddenly, due to the digital approach and the automations which are coming in, things are actually changing, and I can actually see that drastic change. What I can see myself as well as in my client side, and it is completely and truly visible to everyone, right? And every company now is actually seeing different departments and different elements within the departments, and then seeing that how I can improve that efficiency. It's not just about cutting jobs. It is about making that process more efficient. Like in the previous session, I spoke about the incentives, how it can kind of reduce the tax. On a similar way, every company is looking at different aspects of the business and seeing that what in the process we can automate to kind of ensure that the cost of that process is limited. One of the great kind of digitization we did was in last 8 years of our business, we saw that we have given demos to almost 7 to 8 thousand people, and that's a huge number, right? So we thought, now if we go back and see that, okay, in these 7 to 8 thousand people, how many people are actually currently staying back on the same company, and have we validated those people that what exactly is their current status or current company status, etc. Then when we got back, we understood that more than 80% of the people have actually switched the companies, or they might have changed the numbers, or they might have changed some stuff. So what we did was we did an automation over there where kind of we scrapped the data from the LinkedIn, understanding that LinkedIn source would be the most kind of recent source, and then we automated our CRM in such a way that every people whom we have met in the past, he would receive some kind of communication, and over a period of time, whenever they change that company, automatically they will receive a trigger saying that, okay, congratulations for joining a specific, the new company, and would love to kind of help you out. So there are a lot of automations and efficiency building which is happening in the overall process. And in fact, if I talk about my business, which is into incentive digitization, in March, April, my existing investors too, they mentioned that, yeah, pata nahi kya hoga, what will you do, because no one is going to give incentives and rewards. And yes, in March and April, we saw a dip in the business. But over a period of time, we have seen that the companies are redefining their compensation structures. If you see the compensation structure, there are essentially 2-3 components to it. Number one, there's a fixed cost or the fixed payout. Then there are some kind of variables, and then there are some kind of incentives. Now, if you see previously the breakup of the money spent on the incentives and the fixed part was close to 80-20. Now it is changing to 60-40. So and when you see a drastic shift on the incentive, automatically companies would like to kind of digitize it and make it more powerful over a period of time. So we have seen a spike up again in last 1 or 2 months, and we are kind of getting back to the pre-COVID level. So we are rediscovering the the business, and then and working as per the situation.
Sure.
What to do.
I think this brings us to the most important part of the discussion is how the marketing strategies are evolving and what we can bring to the table. The digital spends, which were in the range of 5 to 10%, have certainly gone up. I think a digital first strategy is what people are looking at. Yet there are some traditional brands, like one of the brands that I work with, the spends have are still being there in the ATL BTL segment, because the pricing has also gone down drastically. So advertising dollar spent has actually the value for money, the spots that you used to get, the FCTs and everything that you were getting are probably at 70 to 80% cheaper than what they were before. Yet digital, I think there is not a lot of discounting, so to say, in the digital pricing. I think it's become one of the prime strategies, and the storytelling of the brands has to evolve. So I would like to hear the thought process of our panel as to what are those key initiatives that you guys have taken in the last 150 odd days, or new initiatives, especially centric around COVID and your product marketing per se. So Jaideep, feel free to take this, and then we can have other panelists.
Thanks, Nishant. Sure. Before I kind of share with you what are the various initiatives or different initiatives, if any, I have taken, let me just tell the audience that when we look at marketing today, and obviously we used to do a lot of marketing prior also, and we were doing a lot of innovative new things in marketing prior as well. It's just that pandemic has enabled us, frankly, to do far more better and quicker marketing probably that we were doing earlier, right? I still remember somebody said, never let a good crisis go waste. And then that was rephrased by Winston Churchill. I think this is that opportunity for us, not just for marketing, for businesses, for various functions within businesses, right? This is a great opportunity. We are pushed to the wall. And if we don't do anything about it and go back to doing things the way we were doing earlier, then I think we have missed a huge opportunity, right? With that said, I think there are 3 to 4 areas from a marketing standpoint that we are looking at from a Google standpoint, and I think most of the organizations are also looking at. One, there is a huge change in the buying behavior that is for sure that has happened in the last 5 months. And like I said, I'm talking both engagement or B2C engagement, whether some products and solutions are being sold directly to the end consumers, or for example, solutions and technology pieces like cloud that get sold to the business end of the spectrum. And that has happened because typically it is said that for a habit to form, it takes about 60 to 65 days. That's about 2 months, right? Today, we are sitting at about 155 or 160 odd days since the pandemic started, and we are all sitting at home. Believe me, a lot of habits have changed. A lot of new habits have formed, right? They will probably stay. They might not stay, but the habits have been formed. When the habits are formed, what is it that we have to do, or are we doing that we were probably doing earlier in the traditional marketing format that we need to change, tweak, and pivot to the digital marketing format? And that's why I earlier said that digital was a part of the strategy earlier. Today, digital is the strategy. We want to make that as a centerpiece and revolve everything around that. That's point one. Point two, we also look at marketing today with accelerating the data-driven part of it. We have to look at what exactly are we spending our dollars on, and what kind of data is it showing us. ROI has become extremely important. ROI was always important, but today it has become extremely important with optimized budgets, probably optimized spends, right? Third thing that we are doing, and I'm sure a lot of organizations are again looking at that, is the account-based marketing. Account-based marketing, again, like digital marketing, was a part of the larger marketing umbrella or canvas, right? Today, again, that has taken centerpiece. Because of the optimized spends, because the consumers are getting bombarded digitally by so many organizations, my consumers, my customers, my competition, everybody is reaching out to the same set of people, right? Ultimately, the same set of accounts. How do I differentiate myself in that digital ocean? And that's where account-based marketing with strategic impetus and imperatives and inputs, as well as tactics, play a very critical role. What accounts to focus on? Who are the personas that are important for me? What level within the organization are those personas important for me? Play an extremely critical role. So, these are those three, 4 points. And I probably will go back to what Prachi mentioned in the previous session. in terms of, when she took the example of Sacred Games, believe me, I was guilty of finishing off the season 1 of Sacred Games within 3 days. I didn't sleep. Yeah, so I didn't sleep for 3 days and watched it. It got me hooked on. The point about such episodes on Netflix or anywhere, whether it's even on Amazon Prime, is that, see, they've got a larger viewership, and that becomes a great input for marketers, because unlike movies, while the money is made more in movies, but the viewership is huge in television programs, and now obviously OTT platforms via Netflix, right? And that's because the outreach is higher. What do we do as marketers to reach out to that audience, which is now glued on to the digital platforms, and tailor make inputs for them, not just carpet bomb with marketing? So these are the 3-4 inputs that I thought would be important, and that's what we are doing, by the way.
Sure. In fact, I would like to bring in Anandji in this topic, because I feel that most of your marketing strategies would also heavily depend on ATL, BTL, and reaching out to your partners and stakeholders. Would you be kind enough to share your thoughts as to how you are adapting to this new change in your strategy?
So, Nishant, I think healthcare is an industry where I would say it is the only industry where customer is more informed than the salesman. So, that is a unique thing about it, because we sell drugs and that drug is made for disease. And who knows more about the disease than the doctor itself? We are not doctors. And that is the reason that it was a very, very tough initially for all of us to see that once COVID came in, and anything you touch, no, I think there was a scare around it. No, I think you don't touch it. So those no touch phenomena ke andar, I think you're choosing physical touch, your mask, and everyone, nobody want to meet you. Your entire connect with your customer is gone for a doom. And we all were thinking. And second thing about this whole industry is that all your busy customers, all your busy clinicians, they don't have time. They start the day at the morning and they end up by late evening. It's very difficult. And the representative, and when representative goes and meet him, he gets 1 minute maximum, 1 minute on a higher side. If you have a good relation and the good company you belong to, then only you'll get a higher time. Otherwise, very difficult at that point of time. And the third thing was more troubling us, the span. The span of attention when we read the data, then the digital span of attention is just 8 seconds. Which now, no, the previous, I was listening some of the speaker earlier, said it has increased to 15 seconds now. So these were the troubling rolling around us, and we had a huge brainstorming. We talked with some of our clinicians what to do and what not. He said that it's not about options. So what Jagdeep and they were saying that digital was an option previously. Thanks to COVID, it become a part of life. You can't choose it. No, it's not about choosing it that I want to be digital. No. So that forces that, and then lots of communication, our entire brand plan, it gone ups and down, because our brand plan was ready by January or February. Nobody has expected that one will come to India. So that trouble and entire thing has gone. So our entire strategy boomed around that customer at the core, and how would you roll around it? I give you an example. We have done a series of digital interventions. I would not say that we were as deep as Jadip's definitions of digitalization. For us, the digitalization was in early bugs. Pharmaceuticals is a very, very traditional way of looking at things. So we are more of going personal touch, connecting with the customers, and that's how customers are happy with. So it's like from starting, earlier we used to send an email to doctors. You think that only God can help you to get it opened. Our earlier opening rate of an email going to a clinician used to be 3 to 4% opening rates. Today, that emails even going to the customer has gone to 40%. 40% mails are being opened and responded back. I think that was so an entire way of communication have changed, and I think it was more than that. It's not just the doer side, even the recipient did wholeheartedly welcome this. So web meetings, advisory board online. I think we never expected an advisory board will happen online. 10 clinicians from a different part of the world will sit together on a Zoom meeting or a Microsoft team or a Google Meet, and they will sit there and talk on a particular topic and conclude it. Never imagined. It was unimagined. So I think the whole sphere, I think in healthcare, we thought that whenever. Today, it's not just pharmaceutical. Take up into the hospitals. It's all digital clinics. No, many of the websites which used to very, very centric to appointment, today they have created their technological, it's not just appointment fixing. but they have given the entire profile of the customer, taking the appointment, doing an online meeting, getting an e-prescription, the prescription going to the patient. Even they are helping them to connect it with the e-pharmacies. So whole world have changed. That was remarkable. I think that's what I would say, that it things have now right now it is digital, but I personally agree that it will not be fully digital. It will not be fully physical. So we call it an hybrid, but was digital. That's how the things, and we are all working around that physical things around it. That how would be balancing both, and but it was unexpected. We never expected that things will be so digital. Our entire brand plan changed, materials, videos going to the doctor, links going to the doctor, WhatsApp communication. So those have started sharing it. That's what things are happening.
A lot of digital gurus announced about 5-7 years back that email is dead and SMSs are dead, are just going to wake up and they will have to make new podcasts and new strategies just to say that digital has come back again, and it's the undertaker of the overall marketing scenario. Dr. Anvita, would you share your thought process as to the kind of tools that are reliving, or like email or SMS, and the rise of influencer marketing and video content creation, as to how this is helping the new brands to connect with the audience in a newer way?
Sure. So I think be it with COVID or even without COVID, I think with digital coming with a full blast, and now the second blast, if I can call it the second wave, so to say, but making its presence from the last 10 years or more. What has always been there is that we have to reduce the gap between what engages with me as a consumer. I'm watching something, I'm seeing something, I'm being influenced by something, to the gap between when I see something and then using my fingertips to kind of make that buying decision. Like I'm checking out multiple sofas, and then finally I actually go and actually buy a particular sofa on Amazon. So as a marketer or as a business CEO, my job is to, or my premise is to reduce the gap between these two, engaging the brain and making his fingertips work. So that's one. That said, even in Castrol, we did have this problem that, a customer or a potential consumer would actually understand the benefits of the various benefits of using castor oil versus other oil, but then would he actually go and buy it? So for that, we would need multiple touch points. So like Anand rightly said, it's never going to be 100% digital all the way. It is going to be a mix where I am going to, reach out to, my customers or consumers via the digital platform, but ultimately he will still want touch and feel, and he would still want to be contacted with the product, so that gap will always be there, and that gap will be bridged. That's our job. Point number one. Point number two, what adds to this mix? Now the consumer is now working from home and shopping from home, right? So this is the only extra bit that has happened in this period, and this thing is now what is making businesses change, both in the B2B and in the B2C sector. And I speak for across industries, like let's say media, let's say automotive, let's say FMCG, apparel. Now all of these, especially the ones that stayed B2B, the ones that naam ke vaste had a website, naam ke vaste had an Instagram page, but really did nothing about it, now have to wake up. It's good morning time for them, because they have to kind of now, because they don't have, at least for the next 5-6 months, that's the way I see it, at least for the next 5-6 months, they do not have the luxury of a brick and mortar setup. So they have to kind of showcase their products through the digital medium. Now that can be anyway, now for instance, one of the clients that I'm working with is a baby brand, right? So now here the influencers cannot be Sonam Kapoor. While Sonam Kapoor is a great influencer, but for a baby brand, Sonam Kapoor cannot be So instead there is a lady called Shweta Kothari, who is a very good, she's a mother herself. She has a 2-year-old baby, and she has some 3 million followers on Instagram. So if I become a mother tomorrow, I want to know some tips about what is the softest mattress for my baby. I am not going to go to, I'm not going to get influenced, or I'm not even going to ask Sonam Kapoor for, tips on what is the softest mattress. I'm going to go to this Miss Kothari, right? So I think influencers become a very important, and contextual influencers. I think that's the most important. I mean, influencers have always been there. We have influencers from, social right activists to poets to comics to stand-up comics, and all of them are very, very big influencers. But contextual influencers, I think, makes all the difference. Like, again, I'm going to refer back to Anand sir, like, doctors and, for the patients, they are contextual. It can't be Amitabh Bachchan saying Chawanprash Khalo. Yes, it could be Amitabh Bachchan saying Chawanprash Khalo, but is it Amitabh Bachchan saying also Saradon? No, I may not believe it anymore. I would rather believe, let's say, some doctor, saying that, Saradon le lo, ya whatever. So I think contextual influencers, so that is another, important thing. And yes, videos more so because people are sitting at home, like Prachi rightly said, like Jaideep rightly said, people are at home. So if I want to see how a particular, let's say, a dress looks like, or how a particular, the feel of a car looks like, the 360 look of how the internals of the interiors of the cars look like. Videos make a lot more, make it a lot more effective. So I think videos is one way. Instagram, of course, visually, but Instagram again cannot now be limited to, just putting up photos of your product. It also has to have, there are a lot of features within Instagram. I think we all, and this is going to be the third shout out to Sacred Games. So with Prachi first and Jaideep and me now third. The key in Sacred Games, or the key in, the content of Netflix is, of course, the content has to be engaging. That goes without saying. But the final point there is not just that, the Sacred Games content was fantastic, but it was that after the end of the 60-minute episode, there's immediately the next episode is already streaming, right? So that small button, which you are lazy to kind of, not lazy, or you are hesitant to stop that button, is what makes you watch the next episode and make you lose hours of sleep, right? So, so these are those small pointers which we now as marketers, or even as business people, have to kind of key in. It's not just saying, okay, let me have an Instagram page, let me have a LinkedIn, let me have a Facebook page, but it's about what I do in those things which will grab the attention. For instance, one of the really nice ones that, examples that I can, and this is something I didn't do, but what KFC did in the context of the COVID is, they're famous for finger licking good chicken, right? So they dropped their finger licking concept temporarily during the COVID. I thought that was brilliant. So I think context matters, and also not just riding. I think the content also matters. Not just, okay, everyone's talking about safety, so let my brand also talk about safety. I think consumers are a lot more intelligent. Consumers have always been intelligent, but now probably the consumers in the health sector were more intelligent. But now consumers across are intelligent. And I think the most important thing is, I think this 150 plus days has given us marketers a break. It's like a summer holidays that we got. From being marketer, we've now become consumer. So, I'm now not just a marketer and a doctor and a black belt martial artist, but I'm also a baker. So now I'm looking at kitchenware, I'm looking at better utensils, I'm looking at better microwaves. So I think the fact that we got this break, again, I'm always looking at this entire COVID thing as a positive thing, because it has opened up doors. So, we have become better consumers, and because we've become better consumers, we are now going to become better marketers and better business. I think this is the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, so, I said, Dr. Anvita, what I have observed from my years of experience in building different brands is that most of the brands have a checklist of creating XYZ content. Just let it out there, fill it up with data, fill it up with all sorts of information, whatever is possible, not adhering to the guidelines actually set by Facebook or Google and about advertising, about highlighting the product. Is just about let's just post something on LinkedIn, post something on Instagram, Facebook, not really looking at consumer behavior. And certainly, I think in my own experience, I've seen 90% of the times there is no A/B testing, there is no testing of the same campaign with 6 to 7 different variables and see what color scheme is working, what communication is working. That's where young brands like BuzzFeed and various other Indian brands also are winning, because they are experimenting with the same content into different platforms as well as different content, and then they optimize and then spend more money on it. Uh, I would
Absolutely.
Kushal to
In
come in
fact,
and start taking
one
questions from the
yeah,
audience.
before Kushal, I would just like to add, like as marketers, we usually don't admit our mistakes, but I'd like to admit a mistake over here. Like a few years ago, we spent crores of rupees on an ad, with a particular celebrity. He was our he was our brand ambassador, and we spent crores on that ad. And obviously the shoot and everything. And finally, when we released it, we realized that we had obviously crossed the budgets. Number one. Second, we also realized that after having spent so much money on making the ad, releasing it on obviously on the TV platform is going to is going to really shoot us in the foot. So we decided to kind of release it on the digital platform. And trust me, we got very few likes. And that's when we realized the folly. And this was when I was in Castrol, and we had a similar scenario in another organization where we spent crores, and then we realized that after we put the content, it would have definitely worked on the TV platform, that particular ad, but on web, on the digital space, it just did not take off. So I think the just adding to what you're just rightly saying, the tick off doesn't work. It has to be again. Yeah. Yes.
And leaders sort of make ads from their own perspective rather than the perspective of the pinpointed TG, and keeping the brand values and all. That is
Yes.
prime the prime. In fact, the TG that they are targeting is not in the mind. It's just about let's just get it done. Kushal, because you are into B2B, are you taking any new initiatives for communicating with the B2B fraternity and the customers thereof? Has your strategy evolved? Because I believe that most of your strategy would have been digital already, right? So have you been using any new tactics that
Yeah.
you have employed?
Yeah. So first thing I experienced was previously we thought that work from home is something which is a myth, and people take work from home or to an alternate to holiday. Right? That myth has purely busted, and now everyone is work from home, and we are working more than what we used to work before. I mean, what we used to do before. So I think that was one of the biggest kind of myths we have kind of busted, and there are many more myths which we created over a period of time, and as this pandemic has given us light that things can work with or without those facilities. We haven't seen any drastic change in our kind of digital marketing strategy, but yes, automation is something which we have kind of adopted to the core, and we have kind of I mean every day my team actually come up with some of the other pieces to kind of automate and kind of see that there is a reduction in cost. So yesterday itself, one of my sales guy he came and said that hey Kushal, I mean we are paying money to
I think Kushal, we are losing you.
So we use Gmail as our email client, the corporate email client, and he said that we already have CRM, and
I think.
Hello, is it? Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, Nishant, you're audible.
Hello.
I think there is a connection issue with Kushal and. Yes.
Yeah. Hello, Nishant. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah. So one of my guy he came and he said that why do you actually need an email client for the sales team? Now the sales team we have around 50 people in the sales team or across the geography who is using CRM. And he said that why should we pay for the 50 users to the email client rather than we can actually use a CRM for all the email and other purposes. So it's all about digitization and understanding the process a bit better, the utility of those process, and put that those important steps to kind of automate things and digitize stuffs around it. So I think that's our strategy, and we promote among all the employees, and all the employees are supercharged to kind of, so that's something which I had to add. I think we are running out of time, so I'll not add. I'll don't be. I'll
Sure, Kushal, thank you for adding that. We will take some questions now from the audience, and I can already see in the chat section a couple of questions were there, and Jaideep has answered a couple of them. I feel there has been a product pipeline for each company's for digitization, and this has also given an opportunity to accelerate the delivery of these digital projects and help sort of create more customer funnels. So feel free, guys. Unmute yourself, ask the question, and one of us will answer it. I think we have time for 2 to 3 questions max. So keep your questions short, please.
Yes, we can start with the Q&A, please. I think there is already a question placed by Kainaz Mehta. If you want to ask Kainaz.
Yeah, Ekta, thanks so much. So Nishant, since you are from the BFSI section, and anyone else can take the liberty to answer this though, what is the best convincing marketing statement that we can actually make to a consumer, or a banking consumer rather, to ensure that their data is safe with us and confidential? So for example, I come from a third party area. Okay, I come from Wipro. And typically the challenge that we've always faced is, there could be no cell phones on the operations floor out of the fear that, there could be some snaps clicked or some confidential information leaked. However, given the current scenario, how do we tackle it? How do we best convince the customer that their confidential information will be taken care of and there will be no risk and compliance issue?
Sure, I think so. This is very specific to each of the contracts that you might be getting into, and the requirement from each of these customers. It could be a BFSI or any other client. What happens is, when you're getting into a long-term project, the delivery, if it's an on-prem kind of a solution you're looking at, there are certain set guidelines that BFSI follows, and those are non-negotiable. So I think also the funnel that the sales funnel for you would be anywhere between 12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months also. So these are certain very specific things that you'll have to negotiate in your contract itself. Jaideep, would you like to come in for this?
No, you're absolutely right, Nishant. And thanks for that question, Kainaz. I think anybody that you engage with from a contractual standpoint, whatever technology you're using, PII and security is by far today default. So I don't think so that there would be any challenges in terms of security, because that's taken for granted now. Earlier, it used to be an anecdotal component or an additional component, but today it's default.
Sure, yeah. In fact, most of the organizations are looking at only on-prem solutions, and they are building their own teams as well. And that's in fact a very good opportunity, in fact, profitable opportunity for service providers. So if you're looking at these solutions, first thing that you need is obviously patience and a long-term sort of vision to crack any of the clients. Prakash Mehra has question in the chat section. Dr. Anvita, is marketing going to become an obsolete function? Please don't say that. Now, is that everyone going digital and everyone knows digital?
It's funny you asked that to a marketing, to a group of marketers, but it's strange. It's a very strange coincidence, because just a few weeks back, I think I had read some article which pretty much said the same thing. Is the CMO function going to be obsolete right now? I think maybe that article would have been right pre-COVID, but I think post-COVID, marketers are more important right now. Marketers are important in every, in every function, in every industry, because I think they are now, it's even more imperative that they become the bridge between the customer and the product or service manufacturer, so to say. And of course, but his ways of working will change, his or her ways of working will change, because now we cannot work in silos anymore. We have to, I might speak, I might communicate about a very fantastic product, established brand or a new brand. But if that product doesn't reach my customer, if somewhere in the logistics chain it got lost or it got delayed, then my consumer is just going to lose his shit and he's going to rant on, on my website or on social media pages. So I think my engage as a marketer, my work with my colleagues in the supply chain and the sales becomes even more stronger now. And marketing is the oldest function, regardless of digital or regardless of any other new wave, old wave, new pandemic, no pandemic. Uh, the caveman drew to the caveman drew himself or built muscles to attract the cave woman. So marketing has started from then, and it will always be there. So and it just becomes more imperative. We just have to tweak our ways of working even better now. We are now more answerable for every money that we spend. We can't say we put up a hoarding and we don't know what's the ROI on that now, because now the ROI is digital is the new hoarding, digital is everything. And it's not just digital, even when you connect with the consumer offline, your final sales boy, the shop floor sales guy, the way he speaks to you, to your consumer also is now the responsibility of the marketing team as to how you have trained him and how he speaks the language of your brand and how he does not mess around with it. So Mr. Mehra, nice question, but we are not going anywhere.
Yeah, just to add to Nishant, just to add to Anita ji, see, to kind of make that digital first and automation first, still you would need a marketeer to kind of understand, because marketing has suddenly turned more scientific, and everything is now related to numbers, and he has to kind of go digital to automate stuff. You need marketeers to, I mean, maybe the marketeers skill set would kind of get a transformational shift, and yes, I don't think the marketeer will go anywhere.
Yeah, I think a couple of skills that non-tech marketers need to add on in their forte is digital marketing, and not just the basic digital unlock course that Google offers for free. The MarTech driven products they need to incorporate in the strategies, as well as a better storytelling, not from the standpoint of corporates and senior executives, but from the standpoint of consumers and where they are consuming.
Yes.
I think we have time for one last question. Guys, feel free to shoot.
Yes, we can have a last question, please. Yeah.
Nishant, let me just add one more input, probably for the benefit of everybody. And it was a great question, by the way, Mr. Prakash Mehra. It's like this, and like Dr. Anvita mentioned, like Kushal also mentioned, marketing is not going anywhere. But that same question can be relayed back to any other function. Today, sales happens digitally, right? Does that mean that sales function is over or obsolete? No, we still need sales folks. Today, a lot of customers are given technological feedback online. Does that mean that the technical function is over? The answer is no. It's just that the context has changed. And I think Dr. Anvita brought out that aspect of context being so important. The context and the content in terms of outreach to the consumers, as well as the kind of experience we are able to provide the consumers with whatever mechanisms we have in our arsenal is key. Whether that's done by marketers or the salespeople or anybody who's supporting the entire organization, doesn't really matter. Experience providing and contextual content is still the key and will remain the key.
Absolutely.
Digital thing is a medium. Somebody has to execute that medium. That's what very, very important. But this question is good. I think these questions, and I personally ask sometimes myself, if sales function close, what will Anand, what will you do? I think you must keep asking this question and challenging ourselves that tomorrow if this doesn't happen, if your job gone, what will you do? If this function disappear, what will you do? I think it forces all of us to stay relevant, to update ourselves, to update. Sometimes we do it like control alt delete. It has to we have to refresh ourselves sometimes. To see that am I relevant or will I be stay relevant? I think, but yes, No, it's a medium. I think, and people along with all the functions area has to upgrade themselves. You have to stay relevant. Otherwise, you'll be obsolete. That whether the function remain or not, an individual can obsolete if he doesn't upgrade himself. That's what my view around it.
Yes,
You
like
know,
the
Anand,
same,
Anand,
yeah,
that is
like
so true. I mean,
yeah.
doctors are still needed. Though you might not be visiting the doctor physically, you're using telemedicine, telehealth. But at the other end of the spectrum, there is a doctor available. It's not that the computer is solving problems for you.
Yeah. Like they say in the ocean, the one who rides the wave, the fastest wave, the fastest. Like you can't, we can't afford to be non-flexible. We can't afford to not update ourselves. But I think at the at the base of it, being able to move and deliver fast and have better reach, I think will make us even more better. Us being marketers.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, in fact, one tip I would like to give to every one listening here is that you guys should start your YouTube channel or a podcast and get your message out there, because that not only helps in getting your thought process out, also helps in reaching your right audience, the audience that you're trying to reach. And this is actually one of the most efficient and effective ways of reaching out people organically. So build your personal brand, and for marketers, this will help in honing a lot of skills such as storytelling and understanding the deeper analytics as well. I think we've run out of time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jaideep, Kushal, Ansar, and Dr. Anvita. Ekta, over to you. Thanks, everyone. You have been patient for last 1 hour, 15 minutes.
Yes, thank you, Nishant. I would like to thank all the speakers, all the thought leaders who took their time out and have been here and have shared interesting insights about the marketing strategies in the COVID-19 scenario. So apart from that, thank you all the audiences. You took your precious time out, and I hope you all had a great session interacting with the speakers. We shall be sharing the video link, the entire video link, and also updating on a YouTube page, plus on the website as well. And my team has already shared a feedback form with you. Would request you to please respond to the feedback form. That help us to improvise, with every event we do and webinar we do. And thank you again, all the audiences and the speakers. And have a nice weekend. And please stay safe.
Thank
you.
Thanks.